game.
Thanks, Goose. Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons is a kind of co-op adventure revolving around two brothers. The twist, your co-op partner is yourself, as you control both the older and the younger brother with the left and right thumbsticks.
The story begins with the boys' memory of the death of their mother. And now with their father ill too, they must journey together to a mystical healing tree to obtain a remedy for him.
Ah, Barjo, call me corny, but I love a fantasy tale based around a mighty quest.
And what a quest it is, Hex.
It's a wonderful journey through beautiful and creative landscapes. I just love that art style. It's got that painterly quality to it. Plus, the characters don't speak in any known language, and we know so little about this world, so you're constantly surprised by the terrain and its inhabitants. You'll creep through caverns with trolls, sail frozen rivers, and my absolute favourite section where we were climbing through the bodies of fallen giant soldiers.
Yeah, it got quite dark there suddenly, didn't it? You could be fooled into thinking that this is a game for younger gamers because of its simple controls and cartoony look. But it really surprises you with some truly emotional moments, as well as some fairly sinister themes.
Yeah, so let's talk about this control system and how it plays into the puzzles. Controlling the two brothers with both thumbsticks is an inherently tricky task. It plays with your brain, kind of like trying to pat your head and rub your tummy at the same time. So for that reason, the only other buttons you'll use on the controller are the triggers to interact with objects, and the left and right bumpers to move the camera.
Most of the puzzles aren't tough to figure out. The challenge comes simply from having to maneuver both brothers at once and keep track of which buttons you need to hold and which to let go of. It sounds easy, and it is, as long as you keep each brother on their side of the screen the whole time, because the moment that they cross paths, it's easy to get muddled. You'll do a lot of running into walls as your brain tries to catch up.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Because you could probably take your time with a lot of these puzzles and just move one brother at a time if you can get away with it, but you know, you'll naturally want to challenge yourself and move them both at the same time. It's a really good control system, I liked it.
Things get a bit trickier when you start scaling castles and walls. There was this one section where the brothers were tied together and you had to swing them one by one to move them along the wall. And with that constant crossover, it just got harder and harder to remember which one to let go of, and I found myself saying out loud, left, right, left, right.
There's a nice aspect to this co-op as well, in that each brother has his own set of strengths and weaknesses. Little brother can fit through wide cage bars, for example, but he can't swim. Big brother is stronger and can give little bro a boost when he needs it, as well as carrying his sibling through water. There's a really nice sense of reliance on each other, which actually carries over into some of the more serious story themes as well.
There's also little lovely moments to have with creatures and NPCs in the landscape too. They're not there to serve any other purpose than just to add lightness and humour, but I'm glad they're there. There's no button to fight. Your only options are to dodge and manoeuvre the boys through a whole host of dangers.
Yes, and it is a land fraught with danger, as well as a few twists and surprises which we won't spoil. But I think the game's most tremendous achievement is being able to create such a moving experience out of something that at first seems quite unremarkable with a simple idea.
Yeah, absolutely. My only real criticism is that sometimes the animations are a little awkward, and also the boys have trouble interacting with the odd object.
Yeah, I noticed that too. In fact, a lot of the interactions with objects like wall climbs and levers force you to have big brother on the left and little brother on the right. It just won't work if you try and swap them around, which seemed a bit silly.
Yeah, and if you approach a lever the wrong way, sometimes they'll do this awkward dance trying to correct themselves and get stuck. It's only a small issue, and most of the time it is fairly smooth sailing. This is one of those experiences that isn't about the challenge, and for that reason it might be a good entry game for inexperienced gamers. But in saying that, I think it's got enough uniqueness and depth to it that warrants a playthrough for even seasoned gamers.
I absolutely agree. And it's not a long playthrough either. You could probably knock this over in a long, lazy afternoon, so I'd definitely recommend it. It explores an interesting control concept, and I think it was a smart move to keep the rest of those controls so simple. But most of all, I found the story so affecting. You know, I got a bit misty-eyed towards the end, I'll admit.
It is surprisingly moving, isn't it? It's also a nice idea to use the camera to open up the stretch of land in front of you. I also like those little benches placed throughout the game. They give you a nice view of the area you'll be headed to next.
There were a few moments that I thought drew inspiration from classic high fantasy, in particular Lord of the Rings, which I'm absolutely fine with. What are you giving it, Barger?
Well, at first I thought the controls would drive me crazy because they are so different and unique, and I fear change hex, but they didn't. They worked well. And for the most part, this is a simple idea that is executed well, so I'm giving it 8 out of 10 rubber chickens.
Yeah, it's a kind of unexpected, heart-tugging experience. It really lingered with me for a few days afterwards, so I thought this was beautiful. I'm giving it 8.5.